Let's jump in, eh? Oh, which one's first? Not even sure. 1 second. Boneyard is first, okay. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Jaraci Cup 6. Continuing coverage now of Groupstage A. We are going into NoFun versus Orbnet. Conniff versus Coalition. Pretty hype. Let's see. How do these picks work? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, I see. So, NoFun has got pick number 1, so he picks Conniff first. Coalition going to be picked by his opponent, and then NoFun is going to pick Boneyard. So, this is a map that we've seen Orbnet is picking almost every game, though. That's definitely something I've been noticing. So, I think I'm trying to think about like why he's doing that. I think maybe he's trying to do something like with this BC rush strategy that works in particular on the Boneyard, but I'm not totally sure. We've seen him play this map a lot. It's just all I'm saying. I think he's either very comfortable with it, or he has some kind of particular strategy laid out for it. But this is actually NoFun's pick, so kind of picking into his opponent there, but I'm not sure how he could have known. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, one thing that's really hype here is that NoFun obviously is in the upper bracket instead of Whale Shrike, I guess it would have been. I think that Shrike placed in the semifinals of the last tournament, but well, I don't know. I can't remember this actually. Hold on, let me check this real quick. It's either this one or last one that NoFun chose to be in the upper bracket or in Group A instead of Shrike. But wait, that's Jaraci Cup 6. You don't want to be looking at that. You don't want to get the spoilers, man. Actually, you know what? No, NoFun was in the semifinals of the last tournament. Okay. Anyway, I do have some sad news in that regard, though. NoFun, it turns out, is unable to finish the tournament, so he played his group stage games, but then he had to drop out before he could move into the bracket. So, unfortunately, we're not going to get to see any of his bracket games, which is really a pity, because he's a pretty hyped player to watch. But for those of you who don't know, I think he's definitely like the fastest improving player in the game, other than, well, maybe Orb. So I mean, obviously this is a pretty cool matchup, and I'm very excited to see who wins this one. But I think he's generally kind of caved in a little bit to pressure before. He doesn't seem to do too well when he finally gets into that matchup where he can prove himself against like Discara or against A-Game, you know. So I'm interested to see how this goes, but he's definitely going for a bit of an assault ship rush here. He has some blast drones as well. Oh, you hope to be there as well, like Orb and NoFun? Yeah, man, you totally could. I've been watching your play. You're pretty good too. And another player we want to watch out for, who maybe I will cast games from after this, is Marchwadden, because this guy like just came out of nowhere, but he's freaking terrifying. Like, apparently he had really freaking good series against A-Game too in the upper bracket, so definitely get hyped for that one. I've played some games with him though. He's freaking killing me sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm really excited to see what the deal with that is. But look at this. It's gonna be rails first for Orbnet. He's playing a really campy style here, right? Like, he's not even worrying about defense at all. Because obviously when you go rails first, you're not usually planning on rushing your opponent down. But like, what damage is NoFun gonna get done? Right? Like, obviously there's rails out here already. There's assault ships on the field, but they're not gonna do much. This is a really interesting kind of counter build here. So I love to see it. This is really cool. And obviously, you know, NoFun just gonna have to back away, tail between his legs kind of thing, right? Now, does he just go for ref mode immediately? That's what I want to know. But he definitely doesn't have much money for it yet. And meanwhile, what does Orbnet go for? Because he's got the money for an SC, he's gonna build it. But he could also save up for Mag Excel. You know, like, he could actually try to make this a bit of a push. This is something we don't really see as Coalition players being the aggressors. Hold up, actually. Hold the phone. Looks like NoFun is not actually done with this push. He's going to be moving in here. He's got the BD. Oh. Actually, these rails have been out of position. Look at this. Salvager's going to have to pull off the line here. Now, the threat of this BD is almost more powerful than the damage that it would have done. As NoFun is in range to kill a railgun here, but he doesn't seem to want it. Oh, he's overextending now, I'd say. I really like the idea. Like, he just pushes in here, he makes his opponent back away from his salvager line. Definitely looking like a bit of an overextend. He's not going to get punished though. I think this unit is going to survive. 2 blast drones still up here. And again, the threat of these blast drones, guys, is more powerful than the blast drones themselves. This is something that you've got to learn when you play Con-F. The fact that he could come in here and hit these guys means that Orb has to be so careful. He doesn't throw them away, he doesn't actually go in. But if Orb had just sat there on the mineral line, what do you call it? The resource line, right? NoFun would have flown in, he would have killed him. So, that's really something good to learn. And NoFun now has got the money for ref mode. Oh, that's units lost. Oh my gosh, never mind, okay. I take it back. And he did throw the blast drones right here, actually, as I was... No, he didn't! Oh my gosh! Ah! Ouchie mama. Okay, he got the damage done. Now he wants to back away. You don't want to overextend off the back of this. But really good damage actually being done there by NoFun. And you can see the units lost tab, not so good. But the fact that so many of those units were salvagers, that's a really big deal. He's gonna lose assault ships on the way back though. And this is actually a lot of LAVs. Oh dear. Do they have upgrades? No. Okay, he should be fine here. Like, assault ships obviously trade very, very effectively into LAVs. And this, I don't think, is enough LAVs to, like, force an all-in onto this PC. He needs to be building another assault ship build. Did he start ref mode? He did. Ooh, he also wants to keep kiting away from these rails, because obviously if he gets sundered, he'll die. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Ooh. No, he's gonna be okay. He made me a bit nervous there, but he's gonna be okay. So ref mode is on the way here now for NoFun. And he just keeps building assault ships, use that carrier power. He obviously got an artifact out, so he can put 2 of them into missiles after he gets back to the base. And that's gonna make it really hard for these railguns to, like, siege him at all. I think he's fine here. Missiles actually already being thrown here. Looks like he had one stored up. He did get damage there, but didn't actually manage to get any kills, but good attempt. Okay, I'm into this now. This is pretty hype all of a sudden. Looks like Orbnet has rebuilt his main. He's starting to fill out a second. So I'd actually say he's still a little bit ahead here, in fact, because obviously he's going to get that second filled, I think, faster than NoFun, because NoFun has the job of weeding out his opponent here. But you can see he's going to move the carrier. That's really smart. It's exactly what he wants to do. If you just try to beat this with the assault ships, it's really hard. Obviously, you've got rails out there. Oh, what a hit. Nice, dude. But yeah, the carrier is such a threat to those railguns that they really can't stick around. And then the assault ships are good for defending, of course. You can just kind of hold them here if he needs to. He's not going to lose his main base, but that hit on the LAVs really gives him a lot of power here. He's still going to be a little bit slower onto 2 base, but he's going to get there eventually. Let's check the units lost tab now. Definitely looks he's still behind, but I think if we look at, like, what's on the field right now, I kind of prefer NoFun's position in some ways. I think the choice has got to be air though, and you can see another sport cruiser on the queue now for Orbnet. Actually, it's already almost done. Sport cruisers build really fast in the current patch. I think he doesn't really want to push out these assault ships. He could easily lose them. Is it 16 and 16 because BDs count as units lost? Actually, that's a good question. I've got to say, I don't know. But I would count them as the units lost anyway, because obviously with a unit that blows itself up, it has to trade in order to be efficient. But I'm not really looking at the numbers. I'm generally just looking at the CUs and the RUs instead. But yeah, I really want to see air. I mean, I think that's the tech that would sort of finish this all out. And he's got the RUs for it. They do cost quite a bit of CUs though, so this is going to be late anyway if he's going to get it. Oh. Ooh. That changes everything. Actually, seeing the carrier in this position, I think as NoFun, you've got to go for rail tech immediately. So, for those of you who don't know, this is what we call a 2-base play. And basically, Orbnet is saying, you know, I know that I'm a little bit ahead in eco. I could make a 3rd support cruiser to get up onto my 3rd base here. But I don't even think I need it. I'm just going to go for a carrier play and just use the power that I have in my carrier to kill you right now. And if you don't respond to this really snappy, this can definitely get you. The key has got to be having railguns, I think, and probably having siege cruiser fab as well. Yep, there's railgun tech coming out. What would you say, Pixico? That is very sage. A carrier play at 1 power? I'm not sure about that either. And of course, these days you can actually check your opponent's power levels because his carrier gains 200 HP, I think, every time he techs one of them. So if you click on his carrier and you know the base health, then you can just divide the excess by 200 to find out what power level he's on. So NoFun can actually kind of know about this. But at any rate, he definitely sees the carrier here now. So it looks like Orbnet going to choose to back away off the two base play, and I've got to say that seems like the right choice to me. But NoFun, he responded correctly. He got rail fab. I think that definitely sort of informs your mid game though. I thought air would obviously be the choice here, but now that he's got rail tech, I think he needs to kind of commit into that. I don't really like this run by of skims here, because he's going to get damage done, I think, but he's going to lose a lot of sand skims as well. Oh, he might not even get damage done. This doesn't look so good to me. Ouch. Yeah, that's unfortunate. And you know what? Now that that's happened, he's actually moving out again. So he canceled the two base play. He came back and defended, and then he was like, you know what? We're going for it. But again, that's why keeping those sand skimmers alive is a huge deal. They're not going to do much against this carrier, but the fact that they exist is such a threat on its own. It can clean up base runners. You have to send AVs to protect the base runners. Now it can clean up the main base. It can clean up everything, right? So losing the sand skimmers here, that's a really big deal. That's really quite unfortunate. He does lose the probe there. That's quite nice for... oh no, these are assault railguns. Ooh. Okay, so I'll tell you something about two base plays. What you need is not just railguns, you need heavy railguns, right? Assault railguns can trade really well in close range positions against enemy railguns, but they don't do terribly well against rails in general. For instance, you'll see in this lead up here, they're going to take quite a bit of damage. Maybe, maybe not. That looks pretty good, but again, like, they don't do damage really to this carrier, not very much anyway. Those tiny houses in the middle of... Yeah, these are like derelict cruisers or something. Oh, in the middle of firebase. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, well, you get railguns on top of them, and they're really strong, but you get railguns, like, next to them, and suddenly they're not very strong anymore, are they? It's a free pick there. I like that. Now, one thing that assault railguns definitely have over normal railguns is that they're much faster. And by the way, this artifact is going to... Troll? Okay, this artifact is going to get extracted. Again, if the sand skimmers hadn't been thrown earlier, this I don't think would have been an extraction. Now he wants to focus the turret here, but this takes a little bit of multitasking, so he doesn't see it just yet. Ouch. Yeah, he'll be okay. He'll get this turret. But yeah, assault railguns are much faster than rails, so they want to kind of like dive in and out, in and out. But Orbnet is definitely playing this wrong. So what you want to do if your opponent isn't ready for, because again, there's no heavy rails. Like, NoFun is like inting, dude. This is definitely a scenario that I think Orbnet could have won. What you want to do is leverage this carrier as like a really, like a sledgehammer, you know what I mean? Like, he can just drive in there. You can just be like, yo, you've got assault rails, that's cute. Drive in like right here, you know what I mean? And now your opponent is going to lose his main base. These assault rails can't do damage to it. And your railguns just hang out in the back line and they stay safe. But this carrier is so, he's got the ability to just be like so ballsy, I guess, if you want to say. Like, he can just drive in there and force these assault rails out of position. We didn't see it happen though. Orbnet, I think, playing a little bit too cautiously. So he goes back to 3 base. Amazingly, he's on 3 base before his opponent though. So we didn't see any heavy rails to protect against the, oh dear, he's actually getting hammered now. We didn't see any heavy rails to protect against the carrier push, but then we didn't see any eco. It's kind of weird. But at this stage, they look fairly even, I guess I would say. Base runner gonna get jibbed here, I think.
Move to guard position. Move order confirmed. New heading set.
This BD just kind of gonna sacrifice itself in the AVs. Needs to do something. But this flank here is actually working out pretty nicely for Orbnet. Now, NoFun had a couple of skims down here, but I mean, AVs just counted them quite nicely. There wasn't anything he could do. But he's back on his base. Now, one thing I love about NoFun when you watch him play is that he's very quick to pull salvagers off the line. Like, he doesn't often lose these guys. That's something that you've really got to know how to do. But it's been a long freaking time coming, but it looks like Orb is finally ready to make the sledgehammer play work here. He's got a lot of railguns. And again, we don't see any heavy railguns from NoFun. None of them at all. This just, I don't know, this seems a little bit silly to me. I think you've gotta respect like the threat of the carrier pushing in here by building heavy rails. But Ooh. Yeah, these guys just trade, you know, 100% efficiency against the soul rails at a distance. Not to mention they have Sunder, which makes the AAVs really powerful against them. This Conif carrier, though, I think he should definitely have the power in the missiles here. Because what he can look to do is just kind of punish his opponent every second that he stays here. Yeah, Sunder. So railguns and heavy railguns have an ability called Sunder, which means that every time you hit a unit, its armor goes down by 4 for 10 seconds. Anyway, as you can see, NoFun just really does not have the rail numbers to contest here. So what he needs to do is he needs to have the power in the missiles. There we go. And he needs to try and just, like, not actually hurt the carrier. He wants to hurt the railgun force here. And he wants to avoid trading for as long as he can if he doesn't think he has the advantage. Which he definitely doesn't, right? This is definitely more rails than he's got. They don't actually have... Oh, now they have Magic, so okay. But yeah, this is probably game over from here, but what he wanted to do in this engagement is just keep the power in the missiles, just keep trying to like hurt these rails, and avoid trading as long as he can, and then maybe eventually he gets the rail majority. Now he can peek over the dunes, and now he can try and fight back, but at this point I don't really know if there's anything to do. Obviously this carrier took quite a bit of damage from Orbnet, but it's not really going to matter unless it gets bursted to 0, right? And this is so many freaking railguns here. 10 rails just hammering in on that Conif carrier. You can see it does not last very long. And that is going to be game 1 going the way of Orbnet. But in kind of an interesting fashion. I think NoFun got some good damage done in the beginning. Although actually, you know, thinking about it, I think he was kind of a little bit behind. But Orbnet's build was quite weird. I liked it. It was rails first after a couple of LAVs, and then we move up to eco. And it seems like it's definitely designed for countering sort of an early game rush from his opponent. And it worked for him. Let's see what happens in game 2, shall we? It's the same faction picks. This time, though, Orbnet going to be picking Firebase for the map. Hey, we were just talking about Firebase, weren't we? Something about those hills like in the middle of the map. Those tiny houses, as Pixicode said, I suppose. But this, of course, is a map where AVs tend to do pretty well because they can obviously get up onto things really easily. And I think that assault ships are kind of the same way on this map. But it's also really powerful for railguns because there's a lot of kind of open ground areas here with a bit of high ground to be accessible. This is a map where if you get pushed off your main, I think you're really in trouble because your opponent now suddenly can take control of like this high ground position here. It's really hard to get back onto your main base from there. So, and we've seen, if you watch the JC5 casting when Orbnet played against Skara in this map, he was doing BCs, of course, in that game. He had Soban BCs, and he was playing really safe, really like cognizantly. He held his opponent off his main base, and he didn't push to kill him on his second and his third. He just waited there, and he knows, you know, I'm getting more money than you. I'm definitely winning if I just stay here. I think he was using like this high ground position, and he just held the main base. He didn't even bother to like push onto his opponent's second, and he made Discara come to him. So he definitely knows how to play this map. I think this is not a bad pick for him at all. I wish we had like some stats actually. It'd be really cool if we had statistics to like see what a player's win rate was on a particular map. I don't really know, but it's probably pretty high for Orbnet. Hey, it's Sarah. Long time no see, man. And someone mentioned they thought NoFun was the Soban player. He played Soban, I think, in JC4. Well, maybe in Jaraci Cup 5 too. Because he definitely, he amazed us with his, like, targeting jammer plays, right? That's what was really cool about it. But he definitely was playing Galzian from the beginning, and then he switched to Conf shortly after. So, I see him as a bit more of a Conf player, but he can do both. He definitely knows how it's done. And it looks like this is kind of the same opener from Orbnet. That is, if he clicks on Railfab, it'll be the same opener. We'll see what he ends up doing here. Yeah, those targeting jammers, man, like, they're really strong. Of course, they were buffed, you know, recently. Or not recently. In Jaraci patch, they were buffed so that they do extra slow, like more than they used to. And then they also are free to deploy. So they make a lot of sense in Jaraci patch. And NoFun is very good at using them too. So it looks like this is going to be different. Obviously, NoFun is going for ref mode first, and he's got ref mode already, but he wasn't playing greedy. He's got assault chip tech on the way already. I like that a lot because obviously he needs now to weed out these LAVs, and he needs to get up onto his second base before his opponent does, ideally. That's not going to happen though, actually. So it looks like Orb is getting a little bit ahead here with his LAV rush. Of course, not really any chance that Orb is going to be able to push into the main base, I don't think. So the danger doesn't seem terribly, like, apparent. Although, actually, you know, NoFun could win this trade here. Yeah, he knows it. Trades 1 for 1, 2 for 2, 3 for 2. It's not bad. And now he can actually look to go back onto his second base immediately. Yeah, that's what he's going to do. So that's really, really good for NoFun. Looks like just a little bit of a throw from Orbnet. It happens, but both players now are going to be teching into air. And I like to see that, of course. Air is kind of fun. We didn't see that in the last game, so mixing it up a little bit, I like it. For those of you who didn't know, Gaussian air tends to be better against enemy air units than coalition air does, but Gaussian air is also more expensive and builds slower. So when these kind of fights happen, when it's like air versus air, I think the winner is generally decided by like who can use combined arms a little bit better, you know? Who can have like ground units doing anti-air at the same time as they have the air units doing it. Definitely a lot different, I think, than vanilla, so it definitely takes a bit of getting used to, but like it's a fun way to play. So far though, just more LAVs coming out from Orbnet. Actually, I've got to say that worries me a little. Oh, it's a gunship. No, you know what? Orbnet actually never saw assault ships come out. He might not have been looking at the carrier. You can see that tech, of course. It's this little rectangular thing that pops out. That's the tell that it's assault ship tech, but he doesn't actually know about it yet. And obviously, one thing you gotta know for sure is that gunships don't do anti-air. So if it comes to an air fight, you'd give it to NoFun right now, who is building interceptors at the moment. But also, he's got control of the ground. So I think... Oh, dude, really? Nice. So I think that Orbnet is actually really kind of behind here. And if NoFun realizes it, if he realizes that there's no tech behind this, he wants to push as hard as he can. Because his ground units are like self-sufficient in this case. They don't need the air to help them. They can just fight off these LAVs just on their own. And then, if he uses air to try to kill the assault ships, then NoFun comes out with the interceptors and he smites them, as he would say. So if NoFun realizes the position on the field here, he wants to push like immediately, and he wants to push hard. As it stands, second PC is coming out. Gunship didn't launch yet, so this is kind of convenient for Orbnet, who's going to see that there are interceptors in the field before he has to, like before he launches that gunship, basically. Not really a big fan of that. Looks like he accidentally dumped the missiles on the carrier there. And actually there are strike fighters like in the hangar right now. So, wow, that was a very good hit. But like, he could be chased down if NoFun had chosen to like launch right then, but it doesn't look like he does. And instead, oh my gosh, these LAVs are like hitting for a lot of damage actually on the second base here. But they're getting chunked by the assault ships. Looks like the multitasking of these players getting a little bit taxed here. Actually, it looks like only one salve went down, maybe two? He's going to stick around for just a bit longer to get that second one. Interceptor's going to dump missiles on the LAVs, but again, I'm not really a big fan of that. Interceptors don't really land missiles on LAVs very consistently at all. But then on top of that, you want the missiles for something else, you know what I mean? It's like if the strike fighters came in now to get some free damage, you'd really wish that you hadn't done that. Excuse me. I should have some water here. I need to drink more water. Missile battery fabrication coming out now for NoFun. Obviously a good choice if your opponent has air. Not really much else to say about it than that. But I gotta say, I really dislike that gunship. Because like, what's it gotten done so far? Like, not really anything, you know? If you don't know what tech your opponent has, I think the gunship is generally a mistake, because if you run into air, you basically just got blind counters, right? If you know your opponent went for rails, go ahead and make a gunship if you like them, because obviously here you can get some really big damage done. But again, NoFun still has control of the ground, so he's building skims here. I don't even think he should. I think he just wants to keep making assault ships, and he wants to use this this ground advantage to make his opponent come to him. Like this. This is exactly what he wants to see. So here come these strike fighters to try and fight the assault ships, and then the interceptors just come in and they chunk them, as you can see. Really, really good damage being done there. Looks like there's an anti-air turret post up. It doesn't even matter. NoFun wants to trade here. Gets another strike fighter for free, and now we can dock these guys. And if you look at the units lost tab, that's definitely worth it, right? Like trading a couple of assault ships, like using them as the bait to get the strike fighters to come out, 100% that's worth it, because strike fighters are way more expensive than assault ships. Can't remember the actual numbers. I think it's like 90 RUs for the strike fighter, and like 220 CU, I think. And I believe assault ships are 240 CUs and 35 RUs. So, and of course, if you didn't know, also RUs are definitely more valuable than CUs. So, really good trade there for NoFun. We'll see if he can do it again, though. His opponent is starting to wisen up to it. He's got some anti-air on the field, but again, he still doesn't have a really respectable ground force. And I was criticizing these skimmers before, but this is going to work. Again, though, he tunnels a little bit on the SC. I would actually rather... Ooh, pretty good damage on the jetpacks there. I would actually rather that he focused the salvagers down. Because you can see how much damage he's taking here. He might not get this kill. Ah! Ay, 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 ay. Ooh. It's really important, guys. If you don't know if you can get the kill or not, always just take the salvagers. They're free. He is going to finish it off with these interceptors. He's mad, so, you know, they die. But now, you know, he has to fly under the anti-air, and he takes a lot of damage. And this just does not look like it's worth it to me. He took, I think he lost 2 interceptors, and he probably lost like 10 sand skimmers there for just 1 support cruiser and a couple salves. That's definitely not worth it. Yeah, look at that. You check the units lost tab. Orbnet is already caught up to him. So, I think he definitely could have microed there better too. What you do is you drive them in, you make sure they're targeting the SC, and then right after they launch the missiles, you turn them to the left. Or to the right, I guess, because it's from this perspective. So yeah, they can be micro, they won't take as many losses, but like, that kind of sucks. That's a bad trade. Starting to detect sand skimmer damage as well, so he's got armor 3 on these assault ships. I think he definitely wants to continue to commit to that, rather than diversifying into skims here. Especially he doesn't want to push into this position, but it doesn't look like he's going to. If your opponent is on AVs, right, and you can trade efficiently against his strike fighters, he's going to be on low eco. So assault ships are just really, really deadly. They can trade pretty much 1-to-1 against the AVs if you both have the same tech, but obviously they don't. I mean, Orbnet doesn't even have armor 1. So your assault ships are really powerful. They can beat these AVs. And now they can't be countered by LAVs either. They're more resilient when they're fighting against like the support cruiser. They're also more resilient when they're fighting against like the gunship, you know what I mean? So I think assault ships have definitely got to be the way to go here, but... Oh, and also, you know, you gotta recognize missile batteries can do a lot of damage to skims, too. And that's not something that Orb wants to rely on, but it can happen. Good pick there, just takes off an AAV for free. I like that. And there's not that many air units left for Orbnet. You can see he's not building more of them, because I think he would kind of be in danger if he did. If he can't get value out of these air units, building any more of them is going to be a mistake. Turret getting set up here for Orbnet. Who was it we were watching the other day? Jaraci, right? He made like 50 turrets in his base. This is what I'm talking about though, like if he wants to. Okay, that wasn't exactly the best mortar shot I've ever seen, but you get the idea. Like obviously these guys were really bunched up, so I think he was trying to like lead the target. It's kind of surprising how fast mortar shots will land when you're like right next to your opponent. So he actually doesn't want to lead there. He just wants to like click it on the sand skimmers. But still though, even without the mortar landing, like look how many losses he took there. And if these were assault ships, they would not have taken that many losses. And also, you know, maybe you lose like one interceptor to take out this turret, then you crack the base open. If there were like 5 assault ships or 6 assault ships here, that's going to be really bad. This anti-air turret post is forfeit, obviously. You're going to lose the support cruiser probably. You can't really fight with air. So that's okay though. I shouldn't criticize him too much. We do have Con of Siege on the queue, and I like that quite a lot. And he's getting the range upgrade immediately. I like this too. And yeah, once again, so this is exactly what I'm talking about though with these assault ships, right? Just the fact that these guys came out here just got NoFun a free kill on one of these strike fighters. And he wants more, it looks like. He's gonna back away though. He's got that afterburner, so he can come in and out really, really fast. But again, these skims here, they're not going to trade well against this turret. They basically took a bunch of free damage there. And the gunship is out now. Did NoFun dock? No. So he could kill this gunship now if he wants to. Yeah, that's what a dead gunship looks like. Ouch. And this is why, again, guys, like if your opponent doesn't have his tech shown on the map, it's probably not good to build a gunship, because it might just get killed by air like that. So, really well done by Orbnet. Or, sorry, by NoFun. And he's going to start mobilizing this carrier now. Assault cruiser fabrication is done. He hasn't built any yet, but he's got that ready. But I'm a little worried for Orbnet because obviously Conf Siege pretty much counters everything he's got on the field here except for air. But Galzian Air, of course, going to counter his air really nicely. He's still got 6 of them. And Railfab is on the way too, so obviously if he moves into like BCs or something, like, you know, NoFun has got an answer for it as well. BCs, by the way, generally kind of a good pick against Conf, like when they spam siege. So, and it's gonna be check-in with these interceptors, but there is anti-air, so he's not gonna run in there. But Conf Siege actually can trade pretty well against this carrier at low power levels. Doesn't seem to want to do it though. Whoa! Everyone in that carrier just died, but that's alright. Really nice thing that Conf Siege can do though in this kind of scenario is it can split. So one of them come around here, one of them come around here. Obviously the carrier can block one of those, but it can't block them both. And Conf Siege, make no mistake, it is like the kingmaker on the field right now. Nothing can really contest it. Artifact extraction on the way actually for Orbnet, I like that a lot, but he can just commit like one siege cruiser over there. He should be able to stop this. NoFun being a little bit slow though to do that, so it looks like Orbnet is actually probably going to extract this one. This is a lot of skims, oh my gosh. And he's got upgrades too. Damage 1, armor 1 on these skims. But the siege looks like is bunching up, so I don't think this is really where it's strongest. Also, this barrage is not really going to do a whole lot, because it's really just hitting the carrier. What he wants to do is have it like where these skims are, right? Like one of the siege cruisers just kind of running over here. Although, wow, this is going to freaking hurt. He's going to kill a couple more strike fighters for free there. But these skims are really kind of being thrown to the wind, right? Conf Siege is really the kingmaker. It can't be beaten by these assault ships unless, you know, you have really good numbers. Or these AVs, sorry. So I want to see him splitting these guys. Have one of them come over here, you know, have one of them come over here. Use them for that map control. Make your opponent be reactive to you. You hold him back into his base, now you can be the one extracting artifacts. And as you build heavy rails, you have a kill threat on his carrier. So I think that's probably definitely the way to do this, but... Oh, and by the way, it is Battlecruiser Fab coming out for Orbnet, so... He's definitely kind of recognizing what he needs to do about this Conf Siege, but obviously we do have rails on the field already, so this is pretty sticky. I mean, if you took, like, I keep criticizing NoFun because I want him to play like a pro, you know what I mean? But if you look at like NoFun's side of the map, you look at Orbnet's side of the map, I definitely would prefer to be on NoFun's side here. He's got a really powerful threat against Orbnet here. Why hello to you too, sir. Or madam. I'm not sure. Sandskimmer's here doing effective damage to the carrier. Not really, of course, but this is kind of a free pick on the... Oh, he doesn't actually get the base runner. At this point, though, I'm not so much of a detractor of these guys being, like, together, these Conf Siege, because at this point it looks to me like Orbnet is definitely, like, killable from this position. When the Interceptor finally goes down, he finally gets one of those. But man, it's tough to just get any kills on those Interceptors when Gaussian players know what they're doing. Carrier getting chonked, yes, I would agree. By skims. But no, this is actually definitely like a kill threat for NoFun. He kind of backs away a little bit though. Of course, Conf Siege had its artillery barrage cooldown increased greatly to try and stop it from being just like super annoying attrition unit. So it's not quite as powerful in this kind of scenario as it would have been otherwise, where, you know, the Conf Siege player can like push in, see if there's an opening. If there's not, he backs away and barrages and gets damage anyway. Ow! Oh gosh. Skim's getting a little chunked there, that's alright. Now he really doesn't want to commit in here. Ooh. I think he felt like he kind of needed to throw the Interceptors to like get that base runner. I mean, you know, trading 1-for-1, that's not horrible, but I think he doesn't realize just how powerful he is right now. Like, if he wanted to, I think he could just close this game out. Now that the BCs are out, maybe this is a little bit more sticky. But NoFun definitely had an indomitable lead at the, I want to say like 2 minutes ago. He probably could have killed this carry, but if not, he could have killed all these ACs. Which presently are just kind of healing up, you know. Interceptors sharking around on the side here, but there's a missile battery. They don't want to commit into it. We don't actually have Sport Cruiser anti-air, but again, you never know. And obviously there's an anti-air turret post as well. AC can look sexy in the right hands. Yes, they can, let me tell you. But oh dear, actually this is quite bad for NoFun. Oh no. Oh no. See, once he gets pushed like beyond this high ground position, it's really hard for him to get back onto it. This is really good though. Air is generally pretty decent against battle cruisers, I'd say, because they don't have the highest hit point pools counterintuitively, and obviously you can dump the damage really consistently. So 2 BCs go down there, but a lot of rails sacrificed to get that kill. I've got to say, like, what NoFun needed to do, he needed to just be pushing through this choke point earlier. Those kind of siege, they can make a really good frontline unit, and the railguns are really squishy, but, you know, you keep them behind the con of siege, and I think you're going to do a good job. It's the classic, classic back and forth of an RTS game, is, you know, keeping units that are tanky in the front line, squishy in the back line. Oh, he's got an EMP. I'm like watching it move through the air like, oh, what is that? I do like some siege EMP. I'm not very good at using it myself, I gotta say, but you can see the advantage here. He might even kill this AC for it. Yeah, he will. Well, he might even kill this back one just on the splash damage. Oh gosh, that was close. Jeez, how much did this get up? 11 HP on this AC, look at that. That is crazy, man. Holy. And now he's got barrage ready, so actually he could have killed that. The way Con of Siege I think really wants to engage. I like this tentative backstep by the way. It's gonna be thwarted by a turret. I think the way that this Con of Siege wants to engage is like come in there and do the damage like that, and then you back away and you barrage on the backside. And now you can do just like this free attrition damage. This PC here just kind of inting. He trades for like 1 rail, but that's definitely not worth it. I know it's probably pretty cringe that I'm using like League of Legends terminology now, but whatever. I've been playing that game way too much. I've got to say, actually, a MOBA is a lot like an RTS, and you control like 1 unit in that one, so you get this like hyper awareness of like positioning and stuff. Honestly, it's really helped my RTS game quite a lot. Here's that barrage finally I was talking about. He's not going to catch this BC though, and obviously that one assault cruiser was able to heal up, so it doesn't go down either. Definitely a bit late. This run by of Skims looks a little dangerous. Has he got something to defend? Yeah, he's got AVs here, but he's got turrets too. Yeah, this isn't gonna hit for a whole lot of damage actually, so that's kind of okay for NoFun, or for Orbnet that is. But again, NoFun, like, look, you've broken your opponent here. I think he doesn't really know his strength in these scenarios. You want to push. You want to get control of this part of the map and just kind of like hold it as hard as you can. Build some base runners, start extracting the heck out of this map. Orbnet, meanwhile, moving into a very cruiser-centric gameplay, which is definitely kind of like what he does, you know? He's got artillery on the queue here. This turret gets taken out by the interceptors, that's not bad. But, like, this is actually going to be pretty rough when, oh, this is Sport Cruiser anti-air? No, it's Assault Cruiser anti-air. Oh, fun. Well, it gets a couple of interceptor picks there, so I like that. But yeah, this kind of cruiser-centric type of playstyle, it's going to be really powerful against this this particular matchup, because obviously the BCs can frontline and the artillery can backline. And now you have kind of the same interaction as you did with like the rails and the Con F Siege, but I think it's a lot stronger. I think the artillery does a much better backline, and it's going to hurt these rails a lot. And the BCs obviously are going to do a much better frontline than the Con F Siege. Although, counterintuitively, I think Con F Siege actually has more hit points than BCs, but BCs obviously have quite a lot of armor as well. Sport Cruiser anti-air, that seems like a little bit of an overcommit to me, because obviously he's got a lot of anti-air in there, and I don't think that NoFun is like really terribly committed to this air. He just wants to get picks with it if he can, so I think that's a little bit of a overcommit to like try and increase the anti-air of the blob. A little bit of a run by of Skims here, looking to see if he can get some damage done on the third base. He will get a logistics module for sure for free. But again, I don't want to see him tunnel on this support cruiser. I want to see him taking these salves because he doesn't know how much time he's going to have to like do damage here. He's kind of formed an Omega point that's going to hurt him if the artillery lands on it. Ow! I mean, he might not even get the siege cruiser. Okay, it looks like he's going to get it. Artifact comes out for NoFun. That's what I want to see. But this is an overcommit of the air units because obviously we know that there's anti-air in that particular spot. But this triple barrage here on the Con of Siege is probably going to get another kill on this BC. Oh, maybe. Maybe not. Look at that. He gets out with both of them. Really low HP on both of those BCs, but he survives. I don't really like this so much though, because the artillery is not there. I think he wants to wait for the artillery before he engages. There's a really good barrage on these rails though, gonna get damage done. And this is a BC though. Oh! Ah! It's so scary to fight against artillery when you have rails. One that's a bit of a thrown barrage there. Like one misstep and you can lose so much money. These base runners here are going to get killed, but they already fulfilled their job. They got the extractions. Now, I think I was mentioning how with this cruiser-centric playstyle, it's going to be more powerful, I think, for Orbnet in a lot of ways. NoFun, I think, can counter that if he's using his cruise missiles well. And he's got a lot of power in his carriers, so you want to be like throwing these cruise missiles out almost constantly. Just trying to see what damage you can get done. And I can see by the fact that that was recharging up until just now, that he is doing that. Interceptors could get some free damage maybe on this BC here. This backstab definitely needs answering though, and I think that's where this carrier is heading. But I'd love to see him just power up that carrier a little more. Yeah, there we go. And power 4 is on the way too. One thing that's really important for Orbnet is that he doesn't allow those artillery cruisers to ever get in cruise missile range, because that's obviously going to do a lot of damage. Looks to me as though this backstab is going to be thwarted here. Oh, it's EMP as well, yeah, nice. He might lose this kind of siege though. I probably just wanted to back that one away. But the EMP is pretty good. Carrier block is even better though. Oh no, all of these units are carrier blocked. They can't fight at all. Ah! Oh no! Look how much he's going to lose. He loses all the railguns and a... Oh no. Ah. Ouchie mama, that's really unfortunate. And, you know, what was this happening? Obviously, those units got pulled off from the main fight. And that just opened up, you know, this huge backstab here. Obviously, the second base has to be evacuated. It's pretty low on resources anyway. Yikes, though. Another extraction comes out for Orb. Now, that's pretty key because we've got only about 4 minutes left in this game. This could come down to extraction. This is pretty hype, though. This is getting into the late game. More power for NoFun. I like that. Wants to power up those cruise missiles, of course. But he really wants to be careful. He doesn't lose his carrier here. He's pathing in a really suspect way. Ooh. Okay, he trades pretty well against that BC there. He can't just run past his opponent's carrier like this though. I think he might be dead already. Yeah, he realizes, so he pulls his army back in. Oh no, he gave a cruise missile launch command on the opponent carriers. Now he's like backing up a little bit awkwardly. Ah, yeah, he's gonna die there. That was actually really close. So look how close he got to killing. Oh look, Orb. He arrived just at the end. Look how close he got to killing this carrier, but he couldn't quite manage it, and he goes down. That's so unfortunate. I feel like he was ahead in a lot of stages in this game. Like, he pulled the whole army over to, like, deal with this backstab. And then there was just some really bad unit control. He got carrier blocked there. But, like, that should have been one and done. Like, the siege cruiser and the carrier were going to deal with this entirely. And then his carrier took so much damage, too, though, to those assault cruiser missile barrages. And that turned out to, like, be enough to swing it as well. Aye. Well, it looks like it is going to be a 2-0 for Orb, which is quite nice for him. And like I said, unfortunately, NoFun is going to have to drop out from the upper bracket. He's not able to play in it. So I guess it's not, like, terribly impactful, but I would have liked to see him win this one. I think he could have done it. I don't understand carrier block. Sometimes it seems impenetrable, and other times it seems just non-existent. Okay, so it's a little bit complicated, and it functions differently based on what faction you are. But if you're playing as Galzian or Conf, anytime you're near a carrier that's moving, I think also a carrier that's stationary, but I'm not actually 100% sure on that. But your units have to give priority to the moving carrier, so they turn. Even if they're moving like at the same direction of it, if they're on top of it, they turn, and it means that they can't shoot at all. So it's really important when you're playing Galzian and Conf that you don't do that to your carrier. Or that you don't do it on the opponent carrier, of course. Because your units can't shoot at all. They're like 100% 0 DPS, you know what I mean? As for like other units getting blocked by the carrier... Is my screen flickering? Are you seeing that? What the heck? Oh well. The other units, you see C block for Little Poke? Yeah. So they work against coalition units as well. If the carrier is moving, units can't drive through it. So, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, let's say our carrier is right here, and there's AVs coming in to fight us. If we move the carrier from here, like, sideways this way, then the AVs can't drive through the carrier, so they have to move sideways. And then they come in here. And then when they start coming in, then you drive the carrier back in like this. And you just kind of get the maximum DPS on them. You slow them down as they're moving up. It makes it a little bit harder for them to poke. I think it was a bit more important in vanilla, because back then, AVs and assault ships were like super tanky. But you can still do it in Jaraci patch, obviously. It's just that like you kill them fast enough that it often doesn't really matter. Yeah, hopefully that explains how carrier block works. It's kind of a complicated... Oh no, you can do it with Conf as well. Yeah. You have less movement speed as Conf, but like you can rotate the carrier really nicely. So actually, that's not even really true. In Jaraci patch, Conf carrier is pretty fast. But yeah, so like let's take another example. Let's say we're playing Conf and we have our carrier rotated so that the back end is facing out like this, and there's AVs coming in. If we rotate the carrier in like that, we're actually going to guide the AVs in. But if we rotate the carrier out this way, so that the back end comes flying in like that, then the AVs kind of get smushed and they get caught up against the terrain here, and then they can get through. So yeah, you can actually do carrier block as Galzian and Conf as well. In my opinion, it's a little bit easier because obviously the carrier handles a little bit better. When you're doing it as coalition, you really have to like set up beforehand. You have to make sure that you're facing the right orientation. Anyway, that'll be all for this cast here.